Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om and good evening from London. How many birthdays do you have every year? How many birthdays? I'm not saying birthday parties. Birthdays. 3. If you're in this Bhagavad Gita course, then you have 3. Our first birthday is the day God is born. And please don't take that literally. God is not born, but God manifests. And we call that day Mahashivratri. Our second birthday is the day that God's ambassador is born, which we call as Guru Purnima. When Vedavyasa was born, because if Bhagavan Shankara thought it out, Vedavyasa wrote it out. So our second birthday. And our third birthday is when this body was born. Sharira Madhyama Kalu Dharma Sadhana. The only purpose of this body is to follow dharma. And our dharma is to follow the Guru, and the Guru's dharma is to follow God. Then everything we study in our Bhagavad Gita course becomes real, not just a theory. Prince Arjuna is feeling relief. He's feeling rest. He is feeling realization of this divinity. Relief from confusion, relief from fear, relief from sorrow. He's feeling rest. He's like Hanumanji's head resting on Bhagwan Rama's neck. Prince Arjuna's head is on Bhagwan Krishna's neck. He is feeling realization of who he is, that he's also not just Prince Arjuna. And he's acknowledging in the most deep sense, in the most far sense, this is because of his Sadguru. That is Bhagavan Krishna in front of him, and Bhagavan Krishna who is Brahman also. If we are feeling the same relief and rest and realization, then we're receiving the same as Prince Arjuna. As we complete a whole nother portion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, today is the completion of chapter 12. Over the last period of time, do you feel relief, rest, realization? I pray that you are. Last week, we studied the question. The question came from Prince Arjuna. The question is about bhakti. What is bhakti? And particularly, is bhakti to be practiced with saguna or nirguna? That is with Bhagwan or God, or nirguna, that is Brahman or the infinite. And Bhagwan's, if I can simplify this question, the question is, what is bhakti? And the answer is depending. What is bhakti? Depending. But in the next portion of this chapter, Bhagwan gives the answer. He's saying you should depend on that which is natural. Now, what is natural? Depending on a form and name. Like we depend on our parents. They're the closest form and name to us. So Bhagwan answers Prince Arjuna's question. What is bhakti? Bhakti is depending. Where should my bhakti be directed? Towards saguna. Depend on Bhagwan, because this is natural. The next portion was the reasoning. The reasoning to this answer. Why was this answer given? What is the logic behind this? What is the background behind this? And Bhagavan Krishna says, to engage in dependence on nirguna, that is, to live for the infinite, one must be extremely pure and extremely prepared. And we studied some of those virtues last week. Not ordinarily pure and prepared. We may already be that to the highest extent, because you're reaching for the highest. The question, the answer, the reasoning, and then finally we studied the message. If the reasoning has to do with why we shouldn't engage in nirguna bhakti, the message is about why we should engage in saguna bhakti. And the message is live for Bhagavan, live for God. That's what depending is. Ravana lived for lust, didn't he? How Lanka was, that he's kidnapping another woman. He depended on pleasure. So for us to live for God is the same as depending on God. Okay? We're together right now? I'll add a little bit more from last week and then we'll continue. Acharya Shankara shares in Vivekji that our sadhana is like a bird. And one wing of this bird is Viveka, and then naturally what's the next wing? Vairagya. So prioritization is Viveka, and then independence. Independence from that which is not a priority. And as one wing flaps down to create lift, naturally the other wing lifts up, and then that will push down to create lift too. So the more Viveka I have, the more Vairagya grows. The more Vairagya I have, the more Viveka grows. You caught that photograph? Now taking this to chapter 12, those two wings are Jnana and Bhakti. The more knowledge I have about God and the infinite, the more I love God and the infinite. And the more I love God and the infinite, the more I want to know God and the infinite. So chapter 12 is this beautiful chapter that introduces the second wing, focuses on the second wing, that is Bhakti. And I'm going to make this even more relative now. Swami Tejomayananda shares, do what you value and value what you do. Now ask yourself, the careers you're in, are you engaged in a career that you value? The programs you're studying in, the relationships you're in, did you do what you value? And now that you're doing it, are you valuing what you do? When I was in Pittsburgh last week, someone had asked a question about change in one's personality. And I essentially said that I try to follow, do what you value and value what you do. And the benefit of that, the phala of that is you give up jealousy. One no longer has FOMO in their lives, fear of missing out, because one is so focused on what they're doing because they value what they're doing. Imagine the relief and rest we would get from not being jealous. That would be amazing. We continue. 12.11 to 12.12. The next portion of this chapter is shlokas 9 through 12. And this is the support. So shlokas 9 through 12 is entitled the support. This support is towards the message. The message is to live for God. The message is towards the answer, which is depending on God. And I'll share this in a political way. I think it was President Bush who had that saying, no student left behind. Is that the saying from President Bush? So Bhagavan actually came up with this phrase. His is no bhakta left behind. Okay, remember, no bhakta left behind. And now you'll tune into this. In shloka 9, Bhagavan says, if you cannot depend on God, if you cannot have bhakti towards the saguna, then what you should do is practice bhakti. Practice depending on God. Okay, this is an if-then model. If this is not checked off, here's your other option then. Practice. The word abhyasa is focused on. There is a difference between trying to pass a driving test and actually passing a driving test, correct? So if you've passed the test, good. But if you haven't passed the test, what should you do? Practice. I'm making this more simple. Every one of us has faltered in our sadhana. Is there anyone who hasn't faltered in their sadhana? And as soon as your hand goes up, now you've begun. Every one of us will falter in our sadhana. And if we don't remember that practice leads to perfection, with that faltering, we give up then. So Bhagavan's saying, you are going to falter. Arjuna already admits that his mind is distracted. And Bhagavan says, practice. This came up in chapter 6. If you don't practice, what will happen is the ego will fantasize different options, different paths. You don't have to practice depending on God. You're an intellectual. Just go straight to Brahman. Just find a guru who's going to hit you in the head and you'll be enlightened like him or her. The ego fantasizes that there's more options than there actually are. Other than practicing, what can we do to become more loving towards the divine? Is there any other paths? Is there any other options? So it may seem obvious, then practice. Bhagavan's trying to bring clarity that this is the only way. Like Swami Tejomayananda says, there's no substitute to hard work. He's saying the same thing, practice. If you can practice bhakti, you will feel more secure. How do you know you're practicing bhakti? You feel more secure. Why? Because you're depending on God, isn't it? At least you're practicing that Bhagavan will look after my finances. Bhagavan will look after my health. Bhagavan will ensure that I travel safely from destination to destination. You feel more secure. Our sense of security is so external right now, isn't it? The walls of a home, the security system of a home, the collateral against the home, the collateral that home provides, and on and on and on. You will feel more secure. No bhakta left behind. But Bhagavan, what if this is too hard? I also can't practice bhakti. In Shloka 10, Bhagavan says, if you can't practice bhakti, then dedicate your actions to Bhagavan. Okay, so there's option number 3. Option number 1, depend on Bhagavan. Option number 2, if you can't depend, practice depending. If you can't do that, option number 3 is dedicate your actions to this divine form and name. The Sanskrit word for dedication is yajna. So abhyasa is a key word for 9, yajna is for 10. And I'd shared with you earlier, a great way to get involved or to immerse yourself in this yajna is to be an employee of God. Why do you wake up? Because your boss is God. Why do you look after your hygiene? Because your boss is God. Why are you patient with your family? Because your boss gave you these co-workers to live with. When you feel that you're an employee of God, then Shloka 10 comes to life. Everything you do, you dedicate to God. If you work in a high security system, job, you can't take anything away from that place. Those files have to be kept. They do a body scan. At least this is what movies have taught me. So imagine that you are working for this not high security, but high divinity place and boss, that everything belongs to him and her. How do you know that you're engaged in this? You will feel light. You will feel light and specifically you'll have less likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes only come when we're not dedicated. Likes and dislikes are like a complaint. But if I'm dedicated to my profession, to my family, then I don't have these likes and dislikes. I don't complain then. I feel light. Isn't it worth it to feel more secure, to feel more light? No bhakta left behind if I can't dedicate my actions to God. Bhagavan is so large-hearted. He says, if you cannot do this, then accept the fruits of your actions. So if I cannot dedicate my actions to God, I should accept the fruits of my actions. I should accept the results in my life. If the earlier shloka, shloka 10 was arpana buddhi, then shloka 11 is prasada buddhi. That I should be cheerful with every experience of mine. Prasada buddhi. One way to know that prasada buddhi is actually being implemented is you let go of insistence. Pujya Swami Tejamayana that talks about this a lot. If I'm acting and I'm going to get a result, fine, but the insistence on the result makes me disgruntled, unhappy. But if I don't insist on a particular result, I'm cheerful. I'm at ease. And he gives the example of parents with a soon-to-be baby. If they insist that they're going to have a boy and a girl comes, they're unhappy. And the other way also. But if you treat this as God's gift, then a baby is a baby then. So letting go of insistence. Another way we'll know if we're engaged in prasada buddhi is we don't get tired. Someone who's tired is not getting what they want. If you don't eat healthy food, you become physically tired or mentally tired. If we don't have prasada buddhi, we just get tired with life, tired with the people around us. In a more high schoolish way, you get bored. This is so boring. When are we going to get there? Why is this person my sister? They're bored in that sense because they're not accepting. So if you ever use the word bored, prasada buddhi is not there. If you use the word tired, prasada buddhi is not there. If you insist, and you may not use the word insist, but if you feel it, prasada buddhi is not there. How do you know if prasada buddhi is there? You feel generous. You feel generous. Why? Because all that comes into your life is prasad, is a gift. The oxygen you breathe, the bed you sleep on, the snowblower. I was shoveling our driveway a few days ago, and the person across the street from me had a snowblower, and so secretly I was staring at him. I would look, but then I would look down, and then he said, "Do you need help?" And I said, "No, but maybe in the front over here." But he was appreciative that he has a snowblower. I have a plastic shovel. So he was feeling generous, and he came and did the icy part in the front that the city always puts on your driveway. So my point is, if you feel everything is a gift, you'll share. But if you feel nothing is a gift, you will never share them. So prasada buddhi is feeling all is a gift, and one becomes generous. Shloka 9, you feel more secure. Shloka 10, you feel more light. Shloka 11, you feel more generous. No bhakta left behind, right? So Bhagavan summarizes his offering to everyone. This is the second shloka in chapter 12 that I'm highlighting for you. The shloka last week was shloka 8. I am highlighting shloka 12. Here is the shloka. Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate dhyanat karma phala tyagaha tyagat chantir anantaram. Bhagavan Krishna shares here what we just discuss, but he puts this in a chart. Here is the chart. Greater than abhyasa is jnana. Greater than abhyasa is jnana. Greater than jnana is dhyana. And greater than dhyana is tyaga. So what's at the bottom? Abhyasa. Jnana, dhyana, tyaga. Now if you take these words literally, this doesn't make sense. So you have to think of the implied meaning. Abhyasa here means rituals. Rituals. You're practicing, but you shouldn't think of the word practice. You're doing, but you don't know what you're doing. So rituals. Greater than rituals is jnana. Jnana here means information. Information. Greater than just engaged in a ritual is a ritual with information. As an example, when you go to someone's wedding, they have that booklet there that explains the wedding, correct? Then it becomes marginally more meaningful. Not that the people getting married even know what's going on either. Greater than jnana is dhyana, which is understanding. Information and understanding are very different, correct? Like right now, you're getting information, but do you understand what Bhagavan is sharing? With understanding, you become part of that ritual, correct? With information, you grow closer. With understanding, you become much more close. And greater than understanding is tyaga. Tyaga here means practice. Greater than just understanding the ritual is practicing or what you know, your understanding, so that this becomes even more internal, becomes closer to you. You're still with me. So greater than rituals is information. Greater than information is understanding. Greater than understanding is practice. I'll share everything Bhagavan has shared in a different way. How do you know what you're engaged in? You should constantly ask yourself, where is my mind? Where is my mind? And if your mind is not there, that's a ritual. And if your mind is fully there, then that's practice. If your mind is slightly there, information. If your mind is more there, understanding. Where is my mind is an important question for a sadhaka. Where is my mind is the only way to lead us to samadhi. We had studied this in the advanced Vedanta course. Sam means well. A means fully. And dhi means placed. Well and fully placed, referring to the mind. But you can only know that is if you know where your mind is. If you don't know where your mind is, how can you well and fully place it in Bhagavan, in divine living? To complete this section of chapter 12, I'm most appreciative of all of you who wanted our class to go on today, and the fact that the majority of you are in class. I'm all for Mahashivratri. We just had our celebration here in London. But I feel many people are celebrating Mahashivratri at a ritual level. Some at an information level, some at an understanding level, maybe a few at a practice level. Here, at least, we're trying to get to that practice level. So I'm appreciative that you wanted to have class today. I also think Bhagavan Shiva would want us to have class today, and Gurudev. Okay, we're going to move fast in the last portion of chapter 12. What does Bhagavan, so this is 12.13 to 12.15. What does Bhagavan mean? Bhagavan means the one who is virtuous, or bhagya. Bhagavan is the one who is bhagya, which means fortunate. And Bhagavan's fortune is in 6 ways, Please try to remember this because it'll come up again and again and again. One of Bhagwan's fortunes is Aishwarya, which is joy. Another fortune is Dharma, or responsibility. Another is Yasha, or reverence. Another is Shriya, or virtues. The next is Vairagya, or independence. And then there is Jnana, or wisdom. Saying those again in English. Joy, responsibility, reverence, virtues, independence, and wisdom. These are God's fortunes in infinite measure. God is not just wise on Mahashivratri. God is wise, period, irrespective of space-time matter. So you have Bhagwan, who is Bhagya. And now for a Bhakta uses this Bhagya, this fortune, as a means to get to Bhagwan. So the Bhagya, the fortune, if I'm a Bhakta and I'm trying to invoke this fortune, this is actually going to lead me to Bhagwan. These are our means. Shlokas 13 through 19 is called the strength. The strength. So we have the question, the answer, the reasoning, the message, the support, and now the strength. The strength is to add to the support. The strength is to help me engage in these levels of bhakti. Just like you see in movies when they're breaking down that front gate in a kingdom, what do? It's already supported, but they bring more strength there. They bring more bodies there, or more shields there. And 13 through 19 takes up a whole lot of virtues, or bhagyas, of Bhagwan, or someone who's the perfect disciple. There are a lot. I'm going to give you a sampling of some of these virtues. Just like in chapter 11, chapter 10, endless examples, I gave you a sampling. Here is your sampling of some of these virtues. As I elaborate on these, please ask yourself if you have these virtues. Do not record these virtues to judge others and say that they don't have them. If you're doing that, then please evict yourself from this course. I don't know what else to say. Do it yourself rather than me having to do it for you. Adveshta. Adveshta. Sarva Bhutanam. Those are auxiliary aspects. Adveshta, if you open up this word, Dvi means two. Visha means poison. The two poisons that we always have towards all beings, Sarva Bhutanam, are likes and dislikes, love and hatred, and on and on and on. Adveshta means these two poisons are not there. You do not judge people. Okay? And what Swami Tejamananda wrote about this virtue, he said, when we love God, we love all as God is all. When we love God, okay, so I think I love God, then we love all as God because God is all, isn't it? That's a profound statement to support this virtue, Adveshta. Next is Maitra. Maitra is friendliness or friendship. A mitra is a friend. In Kishkinda Kanda of Ramayana, the focus of Kishkinda Kanda is Mitra Dharma, how to be a friend. And Bhagwan Rama tells Sugriva here, a friend is one who challenges you. Not duels you, but challenges you to follow Dharma, to be a better person. and Guruji wrote about this. A friendly person is never friendless. Awesome, no? If you feel you don't have friends in your life, maybe it's because you don't know how to be a friend, starting with yourself. But a friendly person is never friendless. Next, na udvijate lokaha / lokan na udvijate. Na udvijate lokaha means one who is not agitating to the world. They don't bother the world. And the slash then says lokan na udvijate, and they're not agitated by the world. They're not rattled by the world. So they don't bother the world, and they're not bothered by the world. Imagine everyone had this virtue. How surreal every day would be. Monday would be the best day because it'd be a day to be with people. This is only possible when people follow dharma. Someone who is dharmic never bothers the world because they're engaged in their responsibilities. And someone who's dharmic is not bothered by the world because they're focused on what their contribution is. Another is daksha. Daksha means decisive. We think of daksha as being dexterous, but someone is dexterous only if they're decisive. They make a decision and follow through with that. Even if it's a wrong decision, they accept that this is a wrong decision. And how did they get to be decisive? They're analytical. They experience all the variables, analyze it fast, accurately, so they're decisive, and so they're dexterous then. Daksha. Daksha Prajapati, as in Mother Sita's father, was not this Daksha. This is a profound Daksha. Gata Vyata is number 5 that I'm sampling here. Vyata is like Vyartha. Artha means worthy, then Vyartha means without worth. Gata means to push away, to go away. Gata Vyata means to not engage negativity. Negativity is Vyartham, isn't it? Gossiping, judging, being pessimistic, being someone who picks on others. It's all Vyartham. Gata Vyata means I'm not interested. I will not entertain this. I don't let negative games play in my mind. When you're afraid, open your eyes. Face that fear. You know when you're having a nightmare and then you don't want to open your eyes because that person's right next to you. Gata Vyata is open your eyes and get up and see that nobody is there. And if someone is there, run. I'm saying run away from that negativity. Number 6 is Mauni. Mauni is someone who is engaged in manana. They're thinkers. They don't let any experience pass them without learning from that experience. Today, Acharya Dev and Acharya Jina and I had a call as I was driving here. They're organizing their first yatra, that to Trinidad, where they studied, and they asked me how to make this yatra better. And I said, hammer Mauna, that people should not speak from the time they finish dinner to the time they finish breakfast. Mauna. They're in the Vedanta course, let them think about Vedanta. Mauni. Santushta, number 7. Tushta means satisfied, santushta means content. And Swami Vidyaranya says here, Alpa bhogena tushyati. Alpa means small, little. Bhoga means input. With little input, they are content. In other words, they're low maintenance. Sleep anywhere, use any shampoo, any condiment that is there, any weather, any. Doesn't matter. Alpa bhogena tushyati. And finally, number 8 is Aniketa. Some of you have daughters whose names are Nikita, correct? Nikita actually comes from the word niketan or niketa, which means home. It means mandir. That one should live comfortably. One should live like their body and mind is a mandir. Aniketa means no home. And that really means, again, the same, that you're comfortable in any space-time matter. That you don't have a comfort zone restricted to your own pillow, which I know a lot of us do. I like to mess around with Sheila Vite. She has a particular pillow, so I always change that. And she doesn't realize it till she's too tired to realize that she has the wrong pillow. So she's not Aniketa yet, but slowly she's being trained to be Aniketa. One who has all of these virtues, Bhagavan completes chapter 12 with the summary. In the summary, which is in shloka 20, he says, Bhaktaha te ativa me priyaha. Bhaktaha te, those disciples, ativa me priyaha, are not dear to me, they're extremely dear to me. Ativa, exceedingly, immeasurably dear to me. And if you're thinking the full Srimad Bhagavad Gita, who is dearest to you? You, isn't it? This becomes the seed for the next 6 chapters in the last portion of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavan is saying, Tvam, which we focused on initially, and Tat, which we just focused on, that is Bhagavan, Asi. It's not that you're exceedingly dear to me, you are me. Oh.